My fair advice for shophouses is around 1,500 square feet. It's a good size to buy. When you come to the market, they will go through all transactional prices to understand. It's sadly said, government don't have the build up, so you're based on the land. So if it's 5-story, you still have the same amount.
So welcome back to Chills with TFC, and today I am with very, very important people, right? They have a lot of history behind them, but before that, I'm your host Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut, and I'm joined with
Rakesh from the TFC team.
Yeah. Anthony is making a running gag out of
Why?
this, right? Like, because we are not deployed on any show yet, so we are part. So we are part of the TFC team, you know, like until we have a new show, then we'll be host of a new show. You know? So, but meanwhile, great job. And of course, I get you in because this is one of your favorite topics, right?
Absolutely.
Which is the property thing, you know. But today is slightly different.
Yeah, today is about commercials, really, right? Commercial property and shophouses specifically.
Yeah, maybe our guests will argue that it's not just commercial property.
Maybe.
Right? It's a bit different, right? So you want to introduce yourself? What do you do and all that jazz?
My name is Simon. I've been a shophouse guy for the last 30 years. I worked for 8M, Ashish Macharan for 10 years, and we bought quite a number of units, and he's out now doing something greater. So I told myself, I think I've done nice. I just want to help a few good people who can come with me. We work together. Because these are people that fall in love with heritage.
Yeah, fair. And Doctor?
My name is Julian Davison, and we've put this sort of things together that people are actually interested in what they're buying into. They like the idea of owning a heritage property, and it's important to them. And that's where I come in.
So let's layer down some grounds on Shophouse, right? And then this whole idea of heritage value, right? Because our listeners are working professionals, right? So some of them would have some capital to play around in this space, right? Essentially. But why? You know, like why should they be in the space in terms of what is the structure of kind of like a shophouse business? How does it work? You know, and this whole heritage element to it. Like how much margin does it kind of put on top of it, right? Yeah.
Right. For the actual sort of the money side of things, I think you have to address yourself to Mr. Monteiro. Yeah. But I can talk a little bit about the actual heritage value and why people might be interested. The Singapore shophouse truly is because the Singapore shophouse is very specific, though you will find replicas or imitations in other parts of Southeast Asia. The origins are really firmly based in Singapore, and they go back all the way to Raffles, who was a very sort of rational, logical man, and he wanted everything neat and tidy. This is really what. And the shophouse was already in place. He'd seen it, but he wanted it to be kind of uniform, rationalized kind of environment. So he set down certain kind of bylaws or building regulations. So shophouses were going to be masonry, brick-built structures. So of course it translated very easily to Malaysia, British Malaya as it was in those days, Penang, Malacca, Ipoh, Kuala Lumpur. And then you find other examples of it in Medan, in Sumatra, in the Philippines, in Manila, Bangkok, Phuket. So it was a very good idea, and it became template for the built environment across Southeast Asia. That's really why the Singapore shophouse is a good building in terms of its structure.
Yeah, fair. Just to clarify, right? Because I think the Chinese migrants were already here way before, right? So were shophouses already around, you know, like just want to get...
Yes. I mean, if you want to see what pre-Rafflesian shophouse, you go to Malacca or something like that. They have little porches in front, a terrace, but you can't walk along the street with they lack the 5-foot way.
So there's an iteration there.
But also, it's very much a part of the urban architecture of Britain at that time, built on terraces with uniform classical facades.
Okay, fair.
The Chinese was here quite a while back, right?
When Cheng He came here in the
Singapore.
15th century.
Yeah.
I think one of the great part of being Singaporean and studying the Singapore history is basically you've got different communities coming together as early as the 1800s. You know, you have the Arabs, the Chinese. It's always been multiracial. And it's pretty unique in Singapore. They call it the Singapore INC. The part of why I treat investors and work with investors, I just give a brief of the shophouse. The different type of shophouses. There's the shophouses which are commercial use on the ground floor, and the upper floors are residential. These are commercial residential. And there's the fully commercial properties, shophouses. According to the Residential Act, only Singaporeans can buy conservation shophouses with residential component. If a foreigner wants to buy a residential shophouse, they must obtain special approval from SLA. So in July 19, 2023, commercial residential shophouse now be deemed as residential. So commercial residential also you cannot buy. So foreigners right now can only buy fully commercial. It's very simple when I sometimes speak to my client. In your master plan, you have different colors. You have pink, you have light blue, you have dark blue. And you can see the word C, conservation. As long as it's dark blue, it's known as fully commercial under the master plans. There's this abbreviation for different colors that they use. For foreigners, they're only allowed to buy fully commercial. Even entities buying fully commercial shophouse, they must all be Singaporeans in their shareholding. Sometimes it's an emotional buy when you do to Shophouse. I realized all the years with me. Because the client felt something about it. Maybe his grandfather stays in Joo Chiat. And based on that emotional feel, he will pay the price. So there's these sentiments that you sometimes can find, if you take the time to find the right buyer for these shophouses, because they are limited in supply. If I'm not wrong, plus minus commercial, there's about 7,000 conservation gazetted. But for commercial, I think so there's about maybe 3,000 plus 1,000. That's about it. So that's why the price is going up, because influential people are coming to Singapore.
Just to clarify, there are three forms of shophouses, right?
Yes.
We have the residential.
Sure.
We have the commercial residential.
And the fully commercial.
And the commercial.
Yes.
Out of which, only the fully commercial a non-Singaporean can buy.
Yes.
This includes PR, or PR can buy all.
PR cannot buy all. As far as I know, PR, they can only buy the fully commercial. Because you see, you must understand you're buying land. So as far as the Residential Act is concerned, if you look, Singapore citizens.
One other thing is I mean, of course, I'm more into residential and stuff like this, but I did remember something in 2016 or early in 2000s where they changed some laws. So was it different pre-2000 as opposed to now? Because one of the things I remember drastically, because I was doing a bit of real estate, was the fact that as soon as they changed that rule is when we started to see quite a fast hike in terms of prices for shophouse. I don't know exact dates, but I know it was either in the early 2000s.
No, you're not wrong,
like
because
that.
I think so. The government did only 2023. They changed that law to say commercial, residential, now only residential.
Okay.
So in other words, the residential, commercial, there were outside people buying it lah. So
Yes.
prices were just kind of moving up, right? Because you're welcoming
and it
foreign
was
capital.
skyrocketing like crazy.
Yeah.
I remember
Even
that.
people say very interesting, HDB shophouse foreigners can buy. To me, it's very weird.
For me, that's an important thing that we need to tell the listeners, right? So before we did see quite a,
Oh yes, correct.
with
To be fair.
Shophouse, we have seen quite a fast growth in our lifetime, right?
Yes.
And for our listeners' lifetime, in the sense where we've seen it skyrocket. But it's because of that rule that they've only changed 12 months ago. What's the difference between a conservation and a non-conservation shop?
The conservation is just from the URA. Deem it to be historically architectural.
Okay, fine. So effectively, what this means is it's heritage listed, which means you need to maintain it at a certain level.
Yes.
Yes.
How is the difference in maintenance costs between a conservation and a non-conservation?
If you ask me, I don't think there's much difference. It's the same.
That's one of the things that our listeners need to know. Purchasing it is one, maintaining it is another.
Well, obviously, older properties need a lot more care, especially if we're talking about properties which are 100 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, something built in the 70s out of reinforced concrete doesn't need much maintenance. But a lot of the the URA restored streets and streets of the conserved areas, like in the 80s or whatever. So they brought them up to a very high standard, and then they have all these sort of regulations of what you can and cannot do. After that, it's much easier to maintain. Okay. But yes, of course, this needs a lot of care.
Commercial shophouse is the same as non-conservation. Conservation is the same. It's just that government gazetted these 7,000 as conservation. That's all. The laws and bylaws. So you can change whatever you want for a non-conservation. For conservation, you have to follow the structures. You have to keep based on the historical significance of the property.
But I mean, where the money is the conservation shophouses. That's where the real value is.
Tell me more.
Yes, why
is it like that?
Conservation is gazetted by the government. So basically, people feel that it's safe because it supersedes a lot of other things.
Like what?
Road line plan. If you look at cleaning, it's interesting. It's not conservation, right? If you buy the road line plan like River Valley or those, it cuts out half if you were to redevelop. But people still buy, but people get frightened to buy because it's not gazetted. And there are only 7,000 gazetted. So it becomes rare. And on understanding, estimated about 4,000 plus maybe are fully commercial. That means foreigners can only buy this. And you can play with this as an investment, a special investment class. Also to the listeners, basically, they can put people together and put the money and buy a shophouse together, which people are doing right now. They form groups and they buy shophouse and keep. Part of it, I find, is in CBD, the main core conservation that were gazetted as dark blue. Main of it is in CBD. We have quadrants. I'll go through the quadrants. So as they are array, as said, due to scarcity, right? Conservation shophouse is priced especially now corner units. Corner units are quite different, I can tell you. There are a lot of people I found when they talk to me, Simon, I think I would love corner shop house. Also, it's limited because how many corners you have in the conservation of the 7,000. So the most important factor why fully e-commerce shop is so lucrative is that there's no ABSD. The ABSD have killed residential investment. Whether we like almost 60%, some of that. But the most important word, no ABSD. Basically, if you look at it also, it's very simple. The government was protecting us citizen Singaporeans. If a foreigner so rich, if they can buy the whole of Singapore, we are dead. So that is why this decision is about. Residential is for Singaporeans.
Yeah.
So to be fair, there are some people who gives a lot of economic reason to Singapore. Yes, you can own land because they are all these very, very ultra-rich foreigners. They came here and they give very good support economically to Singapore. And they're allowed to buy. They're even allowed to become Singapore citizens. Right?
So you mentioned conservation was lucrative, but you were talking about commercial.
Right. So I think it's two different tracks, right? There's an overlay here, right? So let's just kind of clear this, right? So there's the residential, commercial, and commercial. Essentially, Singaporeans can do anything. Foreigners can only buy commercial.
Yes.
Flat line, okay?
Yes.
And then amongst all the properties, all the shophouse properties, there is the conservation ones and the non-conservation ones.
Yes.
Right? And they also sit on these three different categorizations.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's the idea. And what you guys were saying is that the conservation ones, which are the ones that are
it's moving the market right now.
Gazetted by the government, essentially means URA say, these conservation, cannot anyhow do it. So that's the simple term. What you're telling us is that those are the ones that are moving the market, right? Those are the ones accumulating the capital, right?
Yes.
And the idea from your view is because they are rare, they're like trophies, they're special, and all that.
I mean, a non-conserved shop house is a utilitarian structure.
And I would like to dig into that, right? So because when it's conserved, what are the parameters around it, right? So once it's conserved.
By the time you get to the 1880s, 1890s, you begin to see this style, which was very popular at the turn of the century, which you call the Straits Baroque style of shop house. So these are great buildings. And as I was saying, they're very particular to Singapore. These are like a painting. These have a kind of rarity, a uniqueness, and therefore, of course, that puts the premium up.
Very clear.
Actually, I like that. I like that
it's
explanation.
like a painting.
As soon as you said it clicked.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I get it. It's like a painting. Right?
There are two types of conservation shop house. The historic and secondary settlements. So I just go through.
Even within the conservation, there are still breakdowns.
It's just
There's
a lot of categorization here.
But I just try to make it very...
Please share us.
The historic districts are Port Key, Chinatown, Kampong Glam, Little India. They saw the peculiar type of topology. They wanted to keep all this so that we can show the fabrics of our growth nation by looking at the buildings, the bricks and mortar. They call it main, where you cannot develop the back. Some are developed to 3-story, 4-story, 5-story. If it's 2-story, it will remain 2-story for the rest. It's life. If it's 3-story, it's 3-story. So some people say, why there's one 5-story, then 3? Yeah, because when they gazetted at that point of time, maybe in 1980s, this was already 4-story. They can't tell the owner, please bring down the 2-story. It doesn't work that way. So they actually gazetted. So you can see in Boat Key, you saw one.
There are a few
5-story
taller than the rest.
So it's just like that. So basically, it's the city oldest area. Entire building have to be retained and restored.
Okay.
So Chinatown is where the money came for the last 20 years for that matter, where we saw the growth. So prime CBD is the most expensive. Prime CBD, you're talking about Duxton, Tanjong Pagar, Ang Siang, Club Street, all these areas. So most family office. A lot of family office came to me. Even some asked me, can you train my staff to understand shop houses? Because they want to go into it. It's also they get scared. You don't blame because they don't know.
Do you serve Jack Ma's wife?
I wish I did. I don't speak Chinese, that's why.
Okay.
I wish I speak Chinese. Now I'm going to learn Mandarin. So the foreigners, they pick prime, basically. Because foreigners can buy, right? So many of them from China, a lot of funds have been coming in. If you look at the last 10 years, the funds decided, we can buy this. We can buy the land. So if you want to buy land that is prime, the only way to buy prime land is to buy a shop house. You actually sit on the land. It's yours. Like the guy who's from London and say, I own this floor is his. It's to make it sound more real, right? So even Chinatown also have 4 quadrants. See, it's all divisional. So you have retail Chinatown, your Moore Street, your Temple Street. To me, it's known as retail Chinatown. Okay. Then after still you have your offices Sometimes, lucky some those even are fully F&B with F&B. They have offices also. They allow not everything, but that becomes prime already. Anything that has F&B And for the whole building, you boom down Charlie. Because basically it's approved by the government. So people will pay good money for it. I call it Zone 1 retail. Zone 2 will be your Bukit Pasoh. Keong Saik saw a wonderful gentrification.
Yeah. It's quite
Urban
cool
renewal.
now. Yeah, Keong Saik is
Last
quite
10,
cool.
15 years. It was a red light district. Don't forget, it was a red light district.
Oh, really?
I was there. I
Keong Saik
saw
was
the
a
red light
red light
district.
I used to
I'm the
work.
oldie guy, so I saw the red light district. They
I
move
used to work
slowly,
in
slowly.
Bukit Pasoh.
The older
Yeah.
ladies
In the
start
90s.
to take it's time to just take a break. Like I said, the last 10, 15 years, investors came in. They pulled in their resources. They were willing to spend 1 million, 2 million to redo. And some changes to boutique hotels because they were allowed, started the co-living. It generates urban renewal. Last 5 years to me, the most important word, understand your placemaking.
What is placemaking?
Placemaking is basically you create an area like Keong Saik. You start bringing community. If you want a higher end community, you start bringing in Michelin restaurants to come in. You start bringing, like today you have Coach.
Really?
Oh yes, they have a whole building. Go down there. They rented a beautiful space. I've gone in there. If you look at it level, it becomes fun. So it's really a start, right, of people going into that social realm. They're starting to see outside. Wow. Okay.
Wait, but just for clarity's sake, right? Essentially, if today I want to invest in a shop house, like a less atas area, like maybe Keong Saik is already more or less gentrified, right? So if I were to pick any area that's not as sexy and I want to make it sexy, I have to be able to placemake.
Yes.
So I have to be able to bring in
understand. You'll be
the people.
You got to do
You must have
homework.
the connections
You
and
have to
the
do
pull
everything,
already,
right? Essentially.
Yeah,
okay,
if you do
okay.
more homework.
Not to mention, you probably have to do it up.
Yeah. I just want to know what it takes to make my investment
to me,
work.
basically, it takes a good architect. You have to have understanding that you kind of buy an old building. Okay, it's about the financial capacity.
Of course, yeah.
So
yeah.
if you, like you say,
Yeah.
if I got less money, even me, myself, it's a joke that I spent so many years doing this. I never bought a shop house for myself. But I've made people look at places like Little India and they made money.
Yeah, but just to be clear, right? The baseline is if I were to buy in all this so-called like not so popular shop house yet, whether is it,
You
I
will need
have to
make
do
it
all this.
interesting.
Okay, fair.
I always
fair.
tell people when the land is about 1,000 square feet, if you do up, don't forget because you have the staircase or the way you do your area. So you will not have a very nice shop house. You'll have a very
Narrow.
a bit squeezy. My fair advice at shop houses is around 1,500 square feet. It's a good size to buy. When you come to the market, they will go through all transactional prices to understand. It's sadly said, government don't have the build up. So you're based on the land. So if it's 5-story, you still have the same amount. So you
that's
have
why
to
we
do
need
an
to have
extra
the passion
homework.
also.
Okay.
Not only extra homework, but also that's why you need to have the passion, because then you're going in to see that architecture, and that's when it becomes a bit more like a painting.
Correct.
Yeah. Essentially, the architecture is furnishing, right? It's no longer, it does not really add into the so-called net land area
Yeah,
of it.
I think the people who do the property to a level where it looks really gorgeous, like you see the murals all tinted, and the whole thing just changed because he had to get the right color also.
The other thing I want to know is our listeners, right, who are able to, certain of us are able to invest in shop houses, whereas there's another whole batch, which is trophy assets, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, a lot of our listeners
They're
are
not
the
in
trophy assets.
right? But they could buy
But they can
Geylang,
buy.
they could buy
buy
something.
And what
Geylang.
they're
Little
looking to do
India.
here is to grow their wealth. If that is the case, why should I buy a shop house when I have to spend X number of dollar value to do it up? I have to placemate to get people in to increase that effective street value, while its lease is 99 years.
Not all 99 years, Freehold and 999, just like there's 3 different areas.
Okay.
Okay.
Why should I buy a shop house now as opposed to buying another property?
Yeah.
Back then, I was an agent at that point of time doing the first few Duxton Hill. It was $385 per square foot. Today, fast forward, it's 3,005 plus minus.
Yeah.
So the capital appreciation has never seen such great growth
Yeah.
in any sector of any real estate.
Fair.
If you're looking
and
at
that's
it.
why we're even here talking about
Yeah,
it,
right.
right?
So,
Yeah, that's
so
the main
basically,
thing to
for
take
somebody who
away.
wants to buy, they have to also take a risk that capital appreciation is the way the game goes for shop house. It's not yield, because yield is only 2%. It's like even some 1.5% to 2%. It does not make sense. It's not wrong. We need to educate the clients who do not know how to do shop house. That's why many of the players today here are all seasoned players. Very few new entrants because it's not an easy game. They rather just go and get into a friend who buying a shop house or go into a fund. So honestly, people out there right now, you guys, few of you guys who are close, get together. Even the cheapest shop house is about 5 million. At that point of time when I sold Duxton Hill, I sold a pair. George Jensen was moving out from Duxton Hill. So we sold to our client, which is an
Is this a commercial?
commercial, fully commercial. And they are 99-year properties. There's a core area that are 99. It's in Tanjong Pagar area. I always go in the way of walkabout. I take a slow walk on all the 4 quadrants. So straight away people will understand. When they walk, they will understand. I walk from the retail Chinatown. I cross over to Bukit Pasoh. In Bukit Pasoh, you have Keong Siak, you have Cantonment.
I don't even know that place is called Bukit Pasoh, you know. I just call it Keong Siak. There's a different gender.
So you have different different street names.
But yeah, so it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Keong Siak, and then the street settlement is Bukit Pasoh. That's what I got down
So Dr. Julian is right. During that time, they were very uniform. So Bukit Pasoh, that all are 999 freehold. Then I walk over, I cross Neil Road, I cross over to Duxton. Whole new ball game, all 99. Actually see 4 squares actually. Interestingly, that square is 99 years. Fully commercial.
Just to be clear, right? So 99 years means at the end of the 99 years, SLA will take it back.
Yes, but usually it's conservation. It doesn't happen that way. You have a top up. It was Hong Kong Street. They had a top up. At that point of time, they told me was, I think it's $1 million for 1,000 square feet for a brand new. Because don't forget, it's only better 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. So that top up, I think 1,000 square feet is $1 million. I remember it was 6,000 square feet. They paid $6 million for a brand new 99. That's about 6 years ago, I remember.
Okay.
So you have that kind of game.
So just
it's about $1 million per 1,000 square feet.
Just to be clear, right? Because it is conservation, so fundamentally means that there's no intention of tearing it down, right? But because
it's gazetted under our government.
It's gazetted. Fundamentally, it means unless there's a change in the standards, right? Yeah. So fundamentally, we assume that they're not going to tear it down. Yes. But this is a 99-year project, right? So that means at the end of the 99 year, they can take it back. But there's a general tendency in the market at this point in time is to let you top up, right? So to let you top up because they want to keep the building, but
they want you to keep the
building, but there's a refresh of this lease, you know, that they work with you. Okay.
Yeah, it's starting already.
Fair. I like that.
So for Duxton, Tanjong Pagar, the area, there's still about 65 years balance. So what I see from my gauge of the last 30 years Shophouse, the government will not touch you until you reach around 30 years.
Then
you can go and apply.
Yes.
There's a shut-off of the building.
Yeah.
You don't want a whole street where you call the tourists to come, then you have a broken down building. So the government also will advise you, please, can you do up your building?
Fair. Hey, welcome to the Financial Coconut Podcast Network. I'm your host, Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut. And if you are loving what we are creating here, like, share, subscribe, share with your loved ones, comment in the comment section below. And we'll see you for great content on Chills with TFC. Can I ask a little bit on the Hong Kong Street situation, right? Because you said that they had a lease refresh.
Yeah, I think it's not Hong Kong, it's New Beach Road.
Okay, New Beach Road. Okay. Yeah. So I want to know the market pricing, right? How did the market react, after this lease refresh?
Okay.
In terms of the price of the property.
Okay, they look at it as a brand new building. If I do up, I can sell for, if it's 99, I can sell for 3,500 per square foot based on the whole build up. So when they buy, right, because left 30 years, when they buy $1,000. Now to do up a shop house, you need about $600 per square foot. You take example, I'm impressed by one investor. He's known as Clifton. He do up the asset to a point where many of the units that were sold were done up so beautifully. I saw one unit. The amount of money, if you were to spend today, he would have to spend at least 1,200 per square foot to do up the space where it is now. Shophouse is just that how majestic can you do it up?
Yeah, of course.
That's why they kept it.
Why would I do it if it doesn't add to my value?
No, okay. I think there's a game here, right? Essentially, if you go and pick some of these shop houses that have a relatively short lease left, you can enter the game relatively cheap, right? Maybe your PSF, maybe it will be 1,000, 1,500. And then you invest in that 500, 1,000 type of whatever you need. Then they build up. That means your cost to enter plus the build up, it net about 2,000 something, 3,000, let's say.
Plus
and then
the renewal of the lease.
Plus the renewal of the lease. So once the renewal of the lease come back, then you have a flip, right? So there's an arbitrage there to be made, right? Essentially, that's what a lot of people are doing, right? Okay.
But you must have the capital to do so.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
because there's a negative carry on the yield.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
because
exactly.
the yield is only 1 to 2%.
You know, co-living came, which became a kind of like a
short-term lease arbitrage.
Yes.
That is even crazier. Yeah.
So to be frank, it's about community building right now. The shop houses, if you see, pumps a way for the younger generations to buy, and you have a lot of co-working in great room. These are magical places that you can work. Shop house really has this feeling because number one, the aircon doesn't stop at 6 o'clock if you're a normal building. It does. You just have to put a bunk bed a little bit. You just nap. You feel like a home. So I think a lot of the younger investors right now are looking at it as maybe some way that they can throw the outlet out. They have a few friends they put together.
Yeah.
They get a space, and now some of them basically like to remain single for a while until they really do something great. And I think the techie guys are doing very well in AI right now. So I think there will be a lot of interesting investors coming in.
So you believe that there's still room to run for this? That means the
I've always think
number
that-
will just
yeah,
keep
because
keep
you see,
going.
because it's just like rarity. Because I like art, I like old things like manuscripts, all this. I've always seen like letters, Napoleon. I saw it growth in the market. So I realized, wow, interesting.
Well, like that also can.
Picasso, let's be honest, Andy Warhol, the guy is selling for how much? Amazing, hundreds of $1 million. I realized that these buildings has this kind of attraction.
Yeah, it's like a painting.
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
got to
so
find the right
you
buyer.
can invest your money in all sorts of things.
I'll give you a clear example of Little India. Wanderlust was 10.3, right? And the market didn't grow at that point of time. It was a pretty rundown place. Somebody came in and saw value and decided to do a beautiful hotel there and created the space where everybody can see, wow, you can come here, right? There were a few other restaurants were opening in Jalan Besar. You create a sense. Now you go to Jalan Besar, you see Nasi Lemak stall, you see a lot of cafes coming up. Corner, you have all the major cafe names. So I think there's room for expansion outside CBD. You're not wrong. Because CBD is very, very core and you need money.
Yeah.
Because one shop house costs about 25 to 30 million.
I get it. I mean, there's Juche, Katong area. There's
Yeah.
a lot of all these other
Little
areas.
India,
right?
you can buy 5 million, 6 million. Yes.
Is a favorite area of
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah, Geylang
Because
is
it
hotspot.
has a very particular style of 1930s, what I call tropical deco architecture. Now, the other great place for that is Miami. Old Miami Beach. And I always say, we Chinatown, of course, is an obvious attraction for tourists. There is a particular kind of person who's interested in architectural history, and they will love Geylang because of this style of architecture. So I'm trying to promote that. And that is an area where there is a lot of potential.
Nice.
And this idea of creating a sense of place. Simon always makes the point, if you've got the money, you should buy 2 or 3 units because then you can actually build up a brand for your little stretch, and then that attracts other people to come and follow you. If you're one by yourself, you're just one off, you're trying to make it, people will come or they won't come, you might go down. But if you can buy 2 or 3 or get like-minded people to buy in at the same time with you, then you can create a brand for that particular street, that particular area, and that particular sense of place.
Fair.
And there are all these sort of things which are coming up, which we couldn't have foreseen. This co-working, who would have thought about it 5 years ago? It's taken over the whole of the Keong Sek Road area. And that's created this neighborhood that Simon was talking about.
Nice.
People like to work there because they're like people, they're sort of young, kind of independent entrepreneur type people who want this co-working space. And they're all like to mix with each other, socialize. That brings in the bars, the restaurants, everything sort of revolves around the core, which is co-working. But that was unforeseen.
Exactly. And actually, I think we're going to see more of co-working.
I think so.
And the one thing I would say as a takeaway for all of this, was saying, Simon said, God, I never bought a shop house back in the day. 10 years from now, you say, I wish I bought a shop house in 2024, even though it's tens of millions, because it's just going
That's what my client told me, a few of my clients. I wish I just listened to you, Simon, and Paul Juan. I mean, it's not like 20, 30 years. It's 5 years. It can be a flip of 1 year. Even 2 years. Okay, take an example.
So there's no ABSD, there's no seller stamp duty, there's no any other tax.
No, ABSD you don't have. The normal duties all applies, basically.
Okay.
Okay,
So
except
if you
ABSD
flip in
don't
1
have.
year, obviously you
Oh,
sell
yes,
sellers.
yes.
No additional.
But got normal.
Got normal.
Got normal.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
probably don't have the additional because of the amount of money you have to put in to kind of do up
begin
the
with.
place.
All right.
So
all right.
I mean, I can see why the government have put that rules in place
Yeah,
as well.
so my tip to the audience who really want to invest from a small point of view, there's still the 6 and 7 million. There's no 1, 2 million. Somebody asked me, I got 2 million. I said, I cannot help you. So you must have at least 6 million and above to do. So either you combine with your friend.
But is it
you still
common
can
for
take-
people to just pay everything up front, no leverage?
What's
No,
the
to-
loan we can take?
A lot of people don't do, even the rich don't do that. My major clients take 50-50.
Okay,
You
okay.
know?
So if
But
the building
funds,
is
funds are
3
different.
million cash.
Funds are different.
okay,
Don't
yeah,
forget.
I get
of
it. Funds
course.
are different.
Yeah,
So let's say the property is about 6-7 million value today. I can do 50-50 essentially.
Yeah.
Agak-agak, that's
So
how
you
people
still
do
need a
it.
cash.
Actually,
Yeah,
if you
okay.
think about it, what Julian has said is
Yeah.
you shouldn't just buy one.
Yeah,
You should buy 2 or 3.
Yeah, but the idea here, to wrap it up, right? I think the idea here is that there is a negative carry to this, right? Because based on the cost of what it is today, if you take a mortgage, and relative to the yield,
Yes,
right?
you're not wrong, yes.
So you must have holding power, or you
Yeah,
must kind of
you are
operate this
correct.
building
That's
on
the
its
word
own,
you're using,
right?
correct. You
Yeah.
must have holding power.
Yeah, because Simon clearly laid out that the game is about capital appreciation.
It is capital appreciation.
Not,
You can
not
go
you
anywhere. It is the truth.
generation.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Because it don't make sense.
Yeah. No, but there was a period of time that people were playing around with shop houses and trying to pack it to office real estate. Like office real estate, my rent is about PSF 10, then you come here, PSF is 5. How about we try to
It's not wrong. That's the right quick.
right? So that was a period of time. Is that still valid? Does it still work?
I think it's still valid because if you look at it with $8 per square foot, you can get a very nice shophouse. The only thing that the F&B, it's a challenging area.
Yeah.
So the turnovers are pretty fast.
I mean, offices are decent because now post-COVID era, less and less companies are having offices.
Yeah.
So having a smaller place.
Just to be clear, right? So essentially, that game is still valid. People are still doing it, you know. But the idea is, even at that game, the yield is not enough to cover,
But the belief that the last 20 years have shown them that capital appreciation is the name of the game. Because you see, limited supply is like, you may not like Picasso, he likes Picasso. There's one up. It's just the way I felt. There's always a buyer for the shop house. You just have to wait. The word again, holding power. You'll find somebody who will just give you the price that you want because he just felt. I told you, a lot of things is emotional.
He made a windfall elsewhere, and you look at this property, it's like
it really happens. Okay, take example. I think you all know in the newspaper, I'm doing 2829 Muhammad Sultan. It's a beautiful. Even when I sold another unit which is non-conservation, commercial on San Martin, 43 million to Richard Mills Asia, Nudin Chua, together with an Orange Tea agent at that point of time. Sadly, he passed away after 1 month after I passed him the check because of heart attack. It was a nice agent. But having said that, I served the seller. So that seller also has another property which recently has just stepped my back. I said, on the market, so it's okay. So he's asking me, Simon, come and look at my property. So I went to the English house with Dr. Julian. Dr. Julian was so interesting. I asked him, Dr. Julian, I need that heritage thing to see whether I got the feeling to go in and really do this one because it's a very unique sale I've ever done because it includes everything, the antiques,
the furnishing,
the furnishing, the art pieces is by the photographs by Terry O'Neill. Terry O'Neill is famous.
Nice.
He pictures everything there. So it's on sale now at 160 million.
Nice.
Everybody was just, why crazy Simon doing this? But it's a trophy asset. And Dr. Julian did amazing, I think almost 20-page history. Nice. It was Tan Tong Wat's house on number 29. Tan Tong Wat was...
He was a famous Peranakan and he developed the whole of that area. There's
a street named after him.
Yes, a street named after him.
Tong Wat Street.
Yeah. And this was his private residence. And there were two at the same time. One of the most famous shophouse architects of the day, Wee Tek Mo, he designed them in 1897. And so it was a very special townhouse. It wasn't a shop house. I mean, it was for residential. So it's enormous and big family, servants, all this kind of thing. Very special. And a lot of the original features are preserved inside and outside.
Yeah.
So it's a very special property. And I don't think there's a better townhouse preserved from that period in Singapore to this day. Apart from the Baba House, which is a museum.
Nice. Okay. Maybe last question. Right? I just want to get this right. So if let's say someone is going to make such a big transaction on this property, I definitely cannot afford that property, right? Is there value in me trying to buy what is around it? Because if there's a big transaction in the area, someone's gonna do up this place. It's gonna be cool because someone gotta lead this thing, right? And then like, what are your thoughts around like me participating? What's around it? That's
almost like spillover.
Yeah, almost like spillover.
Right,
I cannot buy the 100 million one. Right? Maybe I buy the 6 million one next door. Like two streets down. Is there some value here? Like
Okay, I mean, if you ask me, I think it's good to combine efforts. I told you one shop house if you buy is still very, very difficult because if you ask me right now at the present state of the prices, it's whether we like it because we have seen $300 we can accept, but 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, it's very difficult because the value. If you look at a smaller unit, individual, if you are buying within friends just to do up and try, I mean, I don't see people losing money if you don't make crazy price to buy lah. If you buy in CBD, you buy around 2,005. If you're a bit run down, maybe 2,005 plus minus. You put up another $500, around 3,000. You get a brand new building. I ever told you, a brand new 99 is 3,005. So you work your way down, you understand where it comes, how much you are paying. No ABSD we're talking about. I'm talking about residential. No ABSD. So you don't have to worry about the 60%. Just worry about the normal taxes. Again, use is important. You see whether you can do co-living after this because it's a usage. So they still allow you to rent out. Ground floor, you hopefully, F&B is still the best. If you really want to start, you need to find something that ground floor you have at F&B approved. Because F&B still draws in the better people try. There are people who just want to do a quirky restaurant.
Yeah, I get
They don't
it.
mind
I get
doing
it.
Little
Yep,
India.
yep.
So you get this kind of people. You have to always wait. Okay. So to me, one unit you can play around like that. I don't see you losing if you can keep the property for at least 8 to 10 years.
Okay.
Okay,
If
there
you
we go.
can't,
So
don't
that's
play
the-
around because it's just the way it is. Shophouse is dynamic.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Geylang, basically, you can still do. But to me, I just felt that Geylang, it takes a longer gentrification to me.
Yeah.
Urban
It
renewal.
needs more work
15,
Yeah.
over
15,
there.
20.
But it's amazing, I can tell you. You go down anytime, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning.
What is a good price for Geylang?
Eviction, if it's a rundown, I mean, you ask me commercial, I won't pay more than $2,000 per square foot. I mean,
Okay.
1,800. Sorry, being very nasty because it takes a lot of money you lose.
No,
So
you are the expert, right? So you
yeah,
can say.
I will look at it if it run down. Because I always keep $600 or $7 in my mind if I really want to do up the place normally and then I can do.
Yeah.
So I take 1,800 per square foot. That's on build-up, not on land. I'm never on land. Then CBD is just the value.
Yeah.
Because I've seen even $7,000 for boat key. It's just the way it is. Because
UOB
it's
is all over
pretty
the
unique.
place over there.
To
To
say
be
the least.
fair to people who wants to buy CBD and has that pool of money, put friends together, I think if you have around 4,500 put together per square foot, you can buy a decent, okay, not so in maybe Keong Sia. Then you go to the extreme where people have done it up. When they done up, you cannot blame. They felt that everybody feel that it's their trophy. So the calling price I know is around $5,500 to $6,000 per square foot because I got maybe 10 units on the market in that CBD and I see they're doing it. You said no, they won't sell. Pop, you see newspaper come out, they sold. Look at the one in Duxton that was done by Mr. Ma's wife. I heard people say 4,000 too. Because you see, it's very subjective, let you all know. Everybody didn't understand. Shophouse is not strata. It's a whole building. So even the owner, when they buy, right, even the corner small unit, he will say, you have to pay for that. And don't forget, you have the open deck area. You can't tell him that he give you for free. So there's no such thing as GFA. Everybody wants the content. That's why when I see agents, I always guide them. Don't get sued for nothing. Don't say GFA. It's wrong because when they sell you Shophouse, the owner also bought total area. So he even paid for his little deck outside there, and some even to a point where they charge a full price for the deck. They keep, leave it. You like buy, don't buy, it's okay.
It's okay. That's for people to explore the market, right? For them to see for themselves.
It's just what I learned. I'm just sharing up. But be honest, it's a beautiful asset to own for legacy, and as long as you can keep 8 years to 10 years, you won't go wrong.
Nice. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you
so
for your
much,
time.
guys.
Thank you. That was a lot of good stuff. If people want to connect with you, where can they do it?
So I have 21,000 people on LinkedIn, which I hope you all can connect me. Simon Monteiro on LinkedIn, you can find me.
Awesome.
My website is with Dr. Julian. We work together. Shophouse.com.sg.
You got such a good name.
Thank God.
Shophouse.com.sg.
I got this very early in my life, so
No
I'm
wonder.
very blessed.
Oh my, that's amazing.
So people ask me they want to buy it. I said,
Confirm
no,
got people want to buy. Confirm got hunters out there. Yeah.
Honestly, it was a real joke. Shophouse.sg, I thought I just let it pass. Somebody else bought, I thought I know. But I didn't care. I'm happy with my shophouse.com.sg. Shophouse.com is owned by furniture.
Maybe I can broker the deal for you. So-
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
time. We'll
Thank
see
you
you
so
around.
much.